Well, for more, we can cross now to Seoul and bring in our correspondent, Andrew Salmon, who is standing by. Andrew, this is clearly an emotional moment for many north of the border from where you are. And it's also a chance to take stock on Kim Jong Un's record over the past 10 years since he took power. Internationally, what can we say about his achievements?
Well, quite a lot. He inherited an extremely difficult situation from his father, considerable international isolation. But he also he had one trick up his sleeve, which was nuclear weapons, which gave him presence on the international stage. He himself has added to that program by developing the delivery vehicles, the intercontinental ballistic missiles, which could send nuclear weapons to the US mainland, again raising his importance in the international community. And after sort of consolidating his rule in the early years of his reign, he actually took his act to the global stage and came out in 2018, this unprecedented sort of diplomatic blitz in which he met South Korean President Moon Jae-in, he met Chinese President Xi Jinping, and of course, unprecedentedly, this had never happened before. He had two sit-down summits with an American president, a sitting American president, Donald Trump. And I think that gave him enormous kudos, not just internationally, but of course at home among his own elite, among his own people. Unfortunately for him, that proved to be a cul-de-sac. Their second summit between Trump and Kim went nowhere. That was in 2019. Trump is no longer in power. Joe Biden seems to have zero interest in meeting Kim, and of course his country is in COVID lockdown, which has sort of frozen diplomatic activities. So there are a lot of questions to answer if and when North Korea exits COVID. But I think he has handled the American threat very, very well by both diplomacy and by sort of threat diplomacy. But his other existential challenges, which is over-dependency on China, maintaining the economic movement of his own economy, and of course resisting the ideological pollution from South Korea, a much richer and more successful state, those threats remain.
And Andrew, on the domestic front, what's changed in the past decade for the average North Korean since Kim Jong Un came to office?
Well, I think we've seen that very nascent marketization under his father has advanced greatly. So we're now seeing the economy moving from primitive sort of market economics to quite a bit of local domestic consumer manufacturing, goods for the North Korean people. But of course, what we don't know is what's really been going on up there in the last 2 years because of COVID. We've never seen North Korea shut down so firmly for so long. So the bamboo curtain really has descended. What's going on behind it is not entirely clear. But I think most people here would say that there are two consequences of this. One, North Korea has probably been extremely successful in quarantining itself off against COVID. This is an authoritarian nation which can very, very easily halt all internal travel. So in terms of quarantine, they've probably done rather well. But of course, at what enormous economic cost? Trade with China is almost entirely stopped. So what impact this is having on the average North Korean, his or her calorific intake, his or her access to medication, that's very unclear. And again, I think that there are many questions which remain to be answered about the state of affairs inside North Korea, which won't be answered until we get some kind of creak of the gates and opening up if and when we see an exit from COVID early next year.